There are two icons on the screen, one for the print wizard, one for the control panel for the printer. Right? The first one normally go to is the print wizard, and that allows you to get your model and input it. You can bring in the model on USB or whatever you want. These are Wi-Fi, so you can even download it from somewhere else.
What's the name of the software again?
Mojo. Print wizard. Okay, that's the one I've clicked on. And I've already got several models there. Okay, so I'm just going to pick one of those. You can obviously browse any location and get it. So I'm just going to pick the buckle. And here it is in file name. It's got to be an STL. I'm going to open that.
Just save as STL from SolidWorks.
Yep. Should be able to do that. Right? You can just save them as STLs, right?
And I'll go to the control panel.
Now we're still in the print wizard.
I'm waiting for it.
Oh wait, that's where we're at.
It's offline. So, okay, the power switch, I should have done this before. That's why it's not coming on. Right? The power switch is over here on the side. Hey, you got
First
the
things
power switch
first.
on.
Kind of like the
Power
copier.
on.
It works better when it's turned on, huh?
Do we leave these things off?
I turn them off.
That's smart.
Okay.
Can we just use our login to get
Step
onto
0, turn on
Machine.
Yes, it's whatever login. I have asked Greg to set up user groups, but he hasn't yet. Just to make sure, you know, anybody doesn't walk in and start.
So again, Keith, will you back up that control panel was in the Print Wizard software?
Well, yes, it is, but there's also icons on the desktop for both of those.
Where's that? So here's the Print Wizard.
And right here, they both have the same symbol.
Control panel, okay.
Okay. This is the Print Wizard screen after you select your model, right? And it pre-placed that model into, it's composed of two pieces. Actually, there's two pieces for that particular model. It was two pieces initially. It was an assembly, even though they weren't together, right? So it pre-placed that in there. If it doesn't pre-place it in there, then you'll have to select.
So can I back up again? So you can put assembly STL files in there?
Oh, yes.
You don't have to do part by part?
Definitely.
It'll give you a map.
Yes.
Break them out.
It looks as an assembly STL just like anything else. An STL is just geometry that's segmented up into little triangles. That's all it is. So it doesn't care what the geometry looks like.
Okay.
It just takes the file.
Does it have to
and
look
that's
like that in your model, or is it just, it's assembled in your?
however you want it to be.
And it'll pop
If
that
you've
out.
got it assembled and it contacts at a point, then it's going to build those contacts together.
Okay.
If you've got it separated, you can build a working crescent wrench, right? If you have separation between the gear and the mating gear on the other side.
I got you.
Right. It's
You'll
checking
see it.
itself as,
Yeah.
because I turned it on, it's checking itself. All right, so there's the model. It pre-placed it on the tray. This is its tray. If you want to orient it, you can orient it. Okay, you can choose your units. It happens to be in units. So you can change the scale here with the slider, or you can just type it in. I'm going to print it at 1. Okay, and then for the orientation, you can dynamically orient it with this, or you can choose from these
Oh, okay.
pre-selected orientations, or you can use the individual X, Y, Z axis sliders or input values for any one of those. So any rotation on any three-dimensional axis for orienting. And the goal of orienting it is to come away with the least amount of total material. So certain orientations are going to give you less support material than others, but also for if there's a particular direction that needs to be strong, and you can keep that in the X or Y plane, it's going to be overall stronger, because that's going to, the X and Y planes will be layers this way. This is the Z direction, and that's the weakest direction for any 3D print,
So
FDM print.
this one obviously selected that guy.
Yeah, it pre-selected that one, and I'm okay with that,
Mhm.
right? So I don't need this. say okay there. You can also add more parts to the build if you want
Oh,
to. So I could go back and grab more of these and put them into it, and it would add them in until it decided there was no room. Now it will not stack them in the vertical. It will only put as many as it can on the initial tray. And if you try to select two and they won't fit, it won't bring it in. Okay. So that's one reason why you might do an assembly, is if you know you want to get two in there and the program's saying no, the way I'm looking at it, they won't fit. But you know they will fit if you do it right. And if you pre-do an assembly, bring that in, and then it can fit it in. Make sense? All right. So, from all that, okay, so we're ready there. The only other things are that there are different ways to view the supports. There are smart supports, basic supports, surround supports. Smart, the program looks at it and says, this is all I have to put in the way of support material. Basic just takes the volume and projects it in the Z and puts everything that's void as support. And the surround encompasses the whole model in support material, right? Smart is usually the best unless you find something in particular that it doesn't work for. And then the part interior, you can, if you have a solid geometry to your model, if you don't need it to be solid, you can save on material by having it low density, which will create voids within the solid.
Can you adjust how much the density you want, if you want to make something?
Not that I know
Really?
of.
Okay.
I don't know how. And incidentally, there is a user's manual, and it's in the software too. And I think that one I have it on the desktop, and this one I don't.
When it's viewing it as a solid, does it fill the solid with support material, or does it fill it with actual
It fills it with model material.
Okay.
Because it views that as the model, and it will only put model material in the model unless it's a void. If it's a geometric void, then it puts support material in if it needs it to hold something else up. Right? So that's pretty much that part of it.
Is this telling you how much material is going to be used, how much the thing's going to cost?
That's my print account, John.
Okay, I'm just sure.
Okay, we'll get to that. Okay, so I'm going to click print.
I thought I was going to get a cost out of this thing too at the same time.
That's your dollars per hour rate.
Oh, I don't get paid that much.
Yes, you don't take it.
It's processing the job. Okay, so it gives an estimate of the build time, the model material, and the support material that it's going to use. In that particular orientation with those two pieces, it's estimating 0.8 cubic inches of model and 0.4 cubic inches of support. Right, different orientations might use more or less support. They shouldn't use more model because the geometry is what it is, and we didn't specify low density. All right, so I can close that. We're done with that. Right, and now here we are in the control panel, because I had opened both of them. I was working in the print wizard, now I'm in the control panel. And notice that that is not my part. Okay, that's somebody's spirograph from the 403 class. So I'm going to click select part. And here's the buckle. I sent it over, it's there, it's just waiting to be selected in the control panel.
So if you'd have clicked print now, it would have made that other thing?
Yes.
It would, okay.
Okay, so
Something to always check.
So again, here's the amount of model and support that's left. Here's the estimate of what it's going to take to do that buckle, and an estimate of the time to do it. It actually has always taken a little longer than it thinks it will, for whatever reason. Okay. And
It's the higher elevation.
yeah.
That's right.
For the
Just
height
your
of that, which
cookie
is
recipe.
about 3/8 of an inch, it's going to use 70 layers to build that. What it's going to do, and you can't change that. That's a given. Of course, it's a thickness. Okay, so different models will have different numbers of layers.
So that
So does that-
2.7 is 2.07 is obviously ours.
Yes.
Like I was gonna say, that's pretty fast, it's minutes.
No, that's ours. It's not fast.
So
I
the,
didn't know
the
that.
thickness of each layer, so the resolution of the model steps, what's that?
0.07.
0.07? Okay.
Right? Okay, and at that point, all you're gonna do is click print. And we're not gonna wait
Walk away.
around for 2 hours.
You have your tray of
Okay.
cookies and
Yep.
show us what it printed?
I could go grab one in my office, but I didn't